Thanks, David. And it's always a delight to follow Rebecca or be in the same session as Rebecca because we talk from opposite ends of the country. So thanks, Rebecca, for the previous talk. Okay, so we'll move to the Northern Territory, the possibly lesser known jurisdiction and its opportunities in the critical mineral space. For those less familiar with Australia's Northern Territory, we have world-class mineral deposits. We have a very resources-driven economy that receives bipartisan support from both sides of government. We have a very well-resourced geological survey that produces high-quality pre-competitive geoscience data. We are a small jurisdiction, a very small population for a large land mass area, but the advantage of this means that you can have very close connections to the decision makers in government and in the political sphere. So the doors are open in the Northern Territory, and anyone who has worked there will support that statement. We also have a very deep water harbour that's got close proximity to major markets in Southeast Asia, and with our natural abundance of solar and our emerging abundance of gas, we're going to become hopefully an energy powerhouse in Australia. So the Northern Territory mineral sector, it is the major contributor to the Territory's gross state product, or as someone said to me today, gross territory product. We have 8 operating mines, so we've got world-class manganese, zinc, lead, gold and bauxite mines. As a side issue, Northern Territory and South Australia are the 2 jurisdictions that allow uranium exploration and mining. We have 19 developing projects in the pipeline, $62 billion of estimated capex, mostly held by junior ASX-listed companies, and a majority of those in the critical mineral space. And over $6 billion mineral production in these very well-established mines in manganese, zinc, lead, bauxite and gold. Thank you to David, who gave a bit of an overview of how we define critical minerals, because certainly in the Northern Territory, we define critical minerals as those not only defined in the Australian government, but again, it's what our trading partners consider critical. So the Northern Territory has producing and demonstrated mineral resources for 17 of the listed critical minerals, plus a further 13 critical minerals that are emerging in terms of geological potential in the Northern Territory. Every year we update the critical minerals guide for the Northern Territory, and the latest one for 2025 is available through the QR code and at our booth and on our website. And that's a snapshot of the inventory of the critical minerals potential in the Northern Territory, and gives a little case study of the companies who are operating and developing these resources. Like I say, it gets updated annually, so you'll see how each of these projects have progressed if you keep an eye on that report. Now, the critical minerals potential in the Northern Territory, this is definitely a growing inventory of opportunity. We have Australia's currently not producing care and maintenance, but it was Australia's only other lithium production outside of WA in spodumene pegmatites up in the Bynoe Harbour, right up in the quite close to the Darwin Harbour. So very strategically located up in the northwest here. Very close to Darwin, very close to skills base, right on the infrastructure corridor. So that's currently in care and maintenance, but I'll talk about this later. They're not sitting on their heels, they're increasing their resources. We also have the Nolans Bore rare earth project in Central Australia. I'll talk a bit more about that. It's a bit of a hot topic today. We have graphite resources, again, up in that northern section, highly prospective geology up in the north. Ooh, where's my laser? Up there near Darwin. We have the manganese mine, and we have Australia's largest undeveloped phosphate resources, which I won't talk about today, but in the Georgina Basin in the centre of Australia. That's also receiving a major project status, so moving from the Northern Territory Government, so moving in development. We have undeveloped tungsten resources in Central Australia, emerging fluorite and magnesium products, and in the Tennant Creek area, substantial bismuth and cobalt associated with the copper gold deposits, with resources being expanded there. So quite a lot of diversity of opportunities in the Territory. So Nolans, possibly the bit of a topic of conversation today. This is our largest rare earth, most advanced project for neodymium and praseodymium, with on-site downstream processing to be based at site. It's already received conditional credit approvals for debt funding, but today, as I'm sure you're all aware, Export Finance Australia have announced another $154 million of conditional equity funding for this project. So that again boosts the progress of this project to planned FID in 2026. The really interesting thing, they've already got 66% of binding offtake agreements in Southeast Asia and Europe. The really interesting thing about this project is with their phase 1 development on site, phase 2 is to design the plant to receive third-party rare earths from different other deposits locally, well, in the general area. And they've designed the flowchart and the processing flowchart to accommodate a range of potential other rare earth feeds, which is strategically very smart. The other really more advanced project of interest in the Northern Territory is the globally significant, one of Australia's largest graphite deposits, the Ley Lin deposit. Again, nicely located right up close to Darwin, right on the infrastructure corridor. This has a scoping study was released in this project in 2025. It's got a large mineral resource of nearly 200 million tonnes, 7.3 total graphite carbon, and they knew there was gallium and titanium in the resource, but they've now added it to the JORC exploration target. So it's expanding its opportunity in terms of critical mineral strategy. So this is a really interesting project. There's an equity binding and offtake agreement with Quimbrook Infrastructure to hopefully see the processing of this graphite based in the Darwin Harbour area. Lithium. Yes, unfortunately, lithium in the Territory is on a pause at the moment due to the commodity price. However, the core lithium project is again located up close to Darwin, up in the harbour area, again right on that infrastructure corridor, close to Darwin Port. Whilst there hasn't been production lately, core lithium has continued to increase the resources available, so that we've now got a 250% increase in contained lithium since it's been in care and maintenance. They've redesigned the processing to show significant cost reductions once they restart. They've also been discovered a higher grade deposit too, a blackbeard, so that they are continuing to develop the resource so that when the lithium price becomes favourable, they are good to go. Lithium is quite extensive, or the possibilities are quite extensive through the Northern Territory. Core Lithium is not the only player up in the Bino pegmatite field up in Darwin. There's several other companies that are developing resources up there. So there's another 10 identified pegmatite hosted deposits in that area, held through a different range of companies, with Lithium Plus probably the most advanced after Core Lithium. In Central Australia, there's also, in the old tin tantalum mines, there's been a lot of reanalysis for the lithium potential in these pegmatites with the existing fields at Barra Creek and Aningi. And out to the west here, iTech Minerals, who were originally looking at antimony and gold, looked at some of the old Mount Stafford tin fields and found anomalous high-grade lithium, and now have attracted a farming agreement with SQM Australia, who is the Australian arm of the major Chilean lithium company. So there is a pipeline of projects in the lithium space in the Northern Territory. We also have a much more stronger emphasis on copper. This has been a bit of a sleeper for the Territory, but now we're getting into the space where we're getting much more competitive and hopefully see a mine soon. In the central, around the Tennant Creek, which of course is very well located in terms of infrastructure and existing mines, where the Pan-African Resources has just reopened the Nobles Knob mine, which is a gold mine. But many of the other companies are reanalysing and assessing their potential for coal, copper and bismuth, especially Castile resources out in just the west in the Rover field. So this is a developing resource area for copper as well as gold. Yes, and the other largest deposit in the territory that has a known resource of 27.45 million tonnes at nearly 2% copper is the Geoscience project out in the east there, held by KGL. And interestingly, the Northern Territory has seen an expansion of a range of explorers looking for sediment-hosted copper in our basins, which include a joint venture between Encounter and South 32 up in the Macarthur. So there's, plus Encounter looking at sediment hosted in our younger basins in Georgina. So there's actually quite a lot of, again, a pipeline of opportunity in copper in the Northern Territory. What's the Northern Territory Government doing to support our, not only exploration but our critical minerals sector? Similar to the other jurisdictions, we're undertaking a lot more pre-competitive geoscience to help target exploration. So that's a lot of the digitally capturing all the historical geochemistry and drilling data to make that more available, undertaking a lot more geophysical data. We have a co-funded and competitive co-funding scheme for industry for co-funding drilling, geophysics, but also for co-funding the reanalysis of geochemical samples for critical minerals, so that people can actually see if there are critical minerals in some of those bags of sand that they have lying around. And also we co-fund metallurgical testing, because metallurgical testing is another key step point for our explorers to make their project commercially viable. So through our $4 million annually co-funded exploration grants, we're looking at opening up new opportunities. We've co-funded drilling in the Leyland graphite deposit to increase the resource. We undertook co-funding of a AMT exercise to look at the buried pegmatites in the core lithium field. So many of these are assisting the higher risk critical minerals projects into a later stage of production or success for funding too. We also have a new engagement advice team that monitors the industry, but also looking for investment opportunities and are keen on having business to business and organising discussions between investors and proponents or that whole projects in the Northern Territory. So we have quite a bit of information. We are trying to be really dynamic. I think I'm following on from what Rebecca says. We're trying to be really dynamic and getting as much information out to people as possible so the investors can see what the project status is for a lot of these projects, and people who are exploring can get data as quickly as possible to narrow their search space. There's a couple of QR codes in finding out about more our competitive exploration grant scheme. This has been highly successful. We have all the information and data out of this is publicly available, and there's many reports that we can point people to in where the exploration has been quite successful in identifying critical minerals. We're undertaking all our pre-competitive geoscience, and please come and talk to me in the booth. I'll probably chew your ear off about that. We also, I think 3 times a year, produce the mining developments report in the Northern Territory, and that gives you an overview of where the projects are at, the funding requirements, etc. We keep this as dynamic as possible. I really encourage you to come to our website and look at the information there. We have fact sheets on all the different commodities, exploration results, and the progress of the projects. So, yeah, either come to talk to me. There's Kate, who's not here, but she's the key dude on the grants, investment and promotion at the Northern Territory. But please come visit the booth. We've got a lot of material. We'd be delighted to talk to anybody who's interested in the Northern Territory. Thank you.